A couple months ago, on a news segment we have called Keeping Track, we told you about the new vocation for Declan's Moon. Horse was a 2-year-old champion back in 2004. Now at the age of 11, finding a new vocation and 100 days of training for Declan's Moon. We'll get more to the story here in a couple of moments. But with Declan's Moon, this is a horse that was a great thoroughbred racehorse. We found out about this story 40 days into new training to try to become a dressage racehorse, and we're going to follow up on that story today. We got my man Ray Pollock to talk about football. Romo, not Tony Romo, but a different Romo who played the game. We'll do some handicapping as well. Here is the bio for Declan's Moon. Again, he wins the Hollywood Futurity at 2. He was a stakes winner at 3, and now at the age of 11, Declan's Moon doing something else. And again, we learned the story from Sarah Andrew of the Thoroughbred Daily News. So we'd like to thank her for bringing this story to our attention. And Declan's Moon now part of the Retired Racehorse Training Project, and the rider of Declan's Moon, the man who trained Declan's Moon. And this training period took place at Dodden Farm in Maryland. The man who owns Dodden Farm is joining us on the line right now, Steuart Pittman. Steuart, how are you?
Good.
Thank you so much for coming on. Before I get into kind of the backstory again with Declan's Moon and how this developed for those that missed the program a couple of months ago, can you quickly talk about the Retired Racehorse Training Project? How long has this been around? How did this begin for you?
Well, we started doing things in 2009. It's a group of people mostly from the sport horse world who use thoroughbreds off the track for jumping and dressage and other sports. And we felt that the market for these horses off the track has declined because of other breeds. And so by increasing the demand with education, public events, promotion, we're making sure that more of them enter new careers where they're going to be taken care of the rest of their lives.
Okay, so it was a 100-day training period, and it was Declan's Moon and 3 other horses, and they actually graduate tomorrow. I want to know how these 4 horses were chosen. I mean, Declan's Moon, he's hanging out in a farm. He's a retired thoroughbred. He's enjoying the good life in retirement. He's kind of hanging out for 4.5 years. All of a sudden, he's walking, he's trotting, he's cantering. How did Declan's Moon and I guess all 4 of these horses get involved in this?
Well, we wanted to honor some of the big thoroughbred farms in the Mid-Atlantic region. And so we went to the big ones. We got Sagamore Racing, we got Walnut Green, Mark Reed's operation, and we got Country Life with Josh Pons, as well as Northview Stallion Station. And the Pons family has been breeding horses forever and generations. And they really made Malibu Moon, the sire, what he is. And Declan's Moon was a Maryland bred, so we all loved him. We were all excited. He was heading to the Triple Crown. We thought he was going to be the superstar. He was undefeated at that point. And I asked Josh if he had a horse that might be good for this training, and he kind of scratched his head and said, well, he's got this Declan's Moon sitting out in the field. And he said, that horse moves like a dressage horse. I mean, he floats across the ground, and he's full of himself. He thinks he's the king of the world, and if you think you can ride him, good luck. But we went out there to try to look at him, and he wouldn't let us catch him.
Here he is doing his thing.
It's like he was performing and ran up on top of a hill and looked at us and just kind of had to do it.
So when we covered the story on January 11th, I think he was about 100 days into his training. Everything was going great at that point. I mean, do you see as somebody, I mean, you're riding him, training him. I'm guessing you're seeing tremendous progress from a day-to-day basis. And how rare is this for a horse that's this physical beast, this strong thoroughbred racehorse, to all of a sudden do something that's quite contrary to that in terms of dressage?
It's not unusual at all. In fact, when horses come off the racetrack, they've been professionally trained, they've been handled by people, they trust people, and they're athletes already. So I'd rather have a horse off the racetrack than a horse that was raised in the field somewhere any day. And Declan's Moon actually is a little tougher than the other 3 because of the time that he spent sitting out in a field. He called the shots out there. He was chasing his buddies around all the time. And he's a very opinionated horse. And I was fascinated because you always wonder what makes a horse a great racehorse. and part of it's mental. And in this case, this horse he's a very dominant horse. He's a gelding, but he acts like a stallion. And,
Okay.
and he's been a little tough, but fun to work with.
All right, and you also, we're seeing, doing your thing in front of an audience. There was an expo, I think that was in, Maryland in January, a world, and another one in Pennsylvania, I think just a couple weeks ago. It seems like you got pretty good crowds for this event.
Yeah, the purpose of doing this, of having these 4 horses in the public eye, is to educate people and encourage them to go out and get a thoroughbred. The Maryland Expo was after 40 days. The Pennsylvania Expo was just 2 weeks ago.
Okay.
We had 2,500 people there. It was a huge crowd, bigger than the one you see in Maryland. And yeah, the horses were up, but racehorses are used to crowds, and racehorses are used to chaos at the track. And I'd rather be sitting on a racehorse than I would a non-racehorse in a setting like that.
So, and this is where the judging took place at the Pennsylvania World Expo a couple of weeks ago. What were these horses judged on?
Yeah, we ran this a little bit like American Idol. We had online voting. You couldn't call in, but online people were watching the training videos, and they voted. And then we had judges there as well, 3 judges at the Pennsylvania Expo. And rather than just having a winner, we had people select the horse they thought was best for 4 different equestrian disciplines. And we were lucky. Each horse won something.
Okay, and Declan's Moon got best suited for dressage, right?
Right, because dressage is the sport where the horses really show off their movement. And Declan was far and away the best moving horse of the 4. In fact, he's as good a mover, his beautiful trot, his beautiful canter, as any horse I've ever seen.
Really?
Yeah, I mean, and that was why we wanted him in here. We want to prove to the public that what the thoroughbred industry is breeding for racing is still top-notch sport horse quality. And they saw that with him.
Okay.
The horse he floats across the ground like nothing else.
All right, so tomorrow's graduation, it's cap and gown time, as we like to say. And for Declan's Moon, and he graduates with this degree, I guess, in dressage, and he does what with it?
Well, we'll see. Samantha Siegel, his owner, who's owned him ever since his racing days, is probably on an airplane right now, flying out here to reunite with him, and we'll sit down and we'll talk about what comes next for him, whether he's better doing what he was doing, sitting out in the field, being, living the life of Riley, or whether he should continue on this kind of training and do something more. We're really going to do whatever we think is best for the horse. He certainly could continue on and be a competitive dressage horse.
What kind of hours are we talking about? I mean, were you with all 4 of the horses, or just Declan's Moon, or were you training all of them?
We had all 4 at our farm. We had 2 riders, for the most part, working with them.
Okay.
And
it's a lot of work, huh? How many hours are we talking about, Steuart?
Well, we're only on their backs for 30 to 45 minutes a day.
Okay.
5-6 days a week. Give them a day off. It's you can't drill them. You got to keep it fun for them, and they learn gradually. You can't hurry them. There's no shortcuts. In 100 days, they learn a certain amount. If we had them for a year, they'd be superstars.
And so, people that are watching right now, they're really interested in this, and they love the story of a horse that's, who's a great athlete, who's retired, who goes back and is able to, complete a pretty arduous task here of this 100 days and be able to do it at a real high level, as you mentioned, like Declan's Moon. Is there a way for people that are interested how they could get involved with the Retired Racehorse Training Project, or anywhere they can go to learn more?
We've actually set up a website, retiredracehorsetraining.org, it's divided into, what different people in different categories can do. We've got a database of trainers that help to train ex-race horses in second careers. We've got sources for horses where you can go all across the country to find ex-race horses. Some of them are nonprofits, racetracks, individuals who train them, as well as ways to help sell your ex-race horse. So if you go to that website, there's a lot of training videos. It's really fun watching the videos of these guys from day one to the end. We'll have some more video coming up, and you learn a lot just by watching.
Well, Steuart, great work, well done. Obviously for a terrific cause, and hopefully we brought a little bit of attention to the great work that you're doing in the state of Maryland, and I guess in Pennsylvania as well, is where you had that World Expo a couple of weeks ago. So keep it, enjoy graduation tomorrow.
It'll be fun. We have win photos for all the owners.
Okay, very, very nice. Congratulations on a successful 100-day training period, and hopefully when you do it again with some new horses, we'll have you on when that occurs.
All right. Well, thanks for covering this.
You're very welcome, very welcome. Steuart Pittman, owner of Dodden Farm in Davidsonville, Maryland, where the 100-day training period took place. And I mean, the man's the owner. The man was the rider of Declan Moon. He was the trainer of Declan's Moon, and it's pretty amazing. I think he said that he hasn't seen a horse with this kind of sort of innate ability for dressage ever, what he had with Declan's Moon. So pretty cool feel-good story, and we're definitely glad to be able to cover it a couple times. First on January 11th, and then again to conclude the story again today